So we've often wondered, what would it take to get MAGA to turn on Donald Trump? What line could he cross? How low could he go to where they would finally say, you know what, enough's enough, we're out, we cannot back this guy any longer. And so far, no matter what kind of clips I've shown you of him saying or doing something so pathetic, they just cheer and get behind him even stronger. But now there is one thing that is really starting to upset MAGA, and it's not what you think. They're not upset over all of the things he said and done. They're not upset over any of those things. They're upset over the fact that he is taking credit for the vaccine. Yeah, they're mad at him because on this issue, he's not extreme enough. And he's out there calling himself the father of the vaccine, and that's really getting them worked up. Take a look at this clip.
And they want me to do public service messages and everything about everybody taking the vaccine. And look, I guess in a certain way, I'm the father of the vaccine because I was the one that pushed it. You know, to get it done in less than 9 months was a miracle. Fauci said it would take 3 to 5 years. He thought it was something that just wouldn't be that effective because it would take so long to get. I pushed the FDA like they have never been pushed before. I wouldn't exactly say they're in love with me. They have never. This is a very bureaucratic organization. I pushed them like they've never been pushed before, and that's why we have it.
So yeah, out of everything this guy has said and done, out of every low he stooped to, this is where he's gone too far in their mind. He's not extreme enough. Now, I'm not going to play Alex Jones clips on here because, first of all, I don't want to give the microphone to a guy like that. And second of all, I don't want YouTube to think that I'm trying to help push his ideas. But that guy went completely off the rails and was saying he was going to go to war with Trump. He was ready to go to war if Trump didn't back down on all this. And Charlie Kirk is pretty upset, and he's really worried that now that you got RFK Jr. out there in the mix, that could swing a lot of Trump voters over to RFK Jr. Take a look at this clip.
And RFK is building a coalition of center-right moms that the Trump campaign needs to do a better job of communicating to. And Donald Trump taking credit for the vaccine, if RFK wasn't in the race, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But you have to understand that there are millions of voters that look at the vaccine issue as a highly personal issue, that they will not vote for a candidate, they will not support a candidate, and you might say, oh, they're going to vote for us anyway. That is the typical response, and with RFK on the ballot, you cannot dismiss this coalition.
So he's afraid that because Trump is taking credit for the vaccine, that might actually steer people to RFK Jr. Let's stop and think about this for a minute. Say you had a candidate who you absolutely loved and you fangirled out about every time they opened their mouth and you agree with everything they said. But then they tried to take credit for something and your biggest fear was that you would lose supporters to a crackpot conspiracy theorist. That's like saying, hey man, I love Joe Biden, but Joe Biden's out there saying the grass is green and the sky is blue, man. We can't let him say stuff like that because if not, this guy over here that denies all that, he's going to get some votes. That's where they're at. That's honestly where they're at. And what is so funny about this is watching Trump, who's dying to take credit for it, but he can't really because he's getting booed whenever he brings it up. Take a look at this clip.
Recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But no, that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine. If it doesn't work, you'll be the first to know. Okay.
I love watching him trip all over himself. That's my favorite part about all that because he's wanting to take credit for it and they're booing him and he's trying to throw them their talking points. But if you'll even notice, some people kind of stops clapping the minute he says that. They just kind of tune out. And that is the corner that Donald Trump has painted himself into. But for those of us that remember the pandemic and for those of us who didn't allow Donald Trump and the MAGA cult to gaslight us during those moments, we remember this clip here where he was talking to Bob Woodward and saying how that he really liked to or preferred to play COVID down. Take a look at this clip.
Give me a moment of talking to somebody, going through this with Fauci or somebody who kind of, it caused a pivot in your mind, because it's clear just from what's on the public record that you went through a pivot on this to, oh my God, the gravity is almost inexplicable and unexplainable.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you...
Sure, I want you to
I
be.
wanted to I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes,
because I don't want to create a panic.
That moment right there is like so many moments with Donald Trump. We learn something new, we see him do something, we hear him say something, everybody gets really mad and upset about it for a couple of days, and then everybody forgets about it. But that is one clip that I have never forgotten, because he's behind closed doors talking about how he knows how serious it is, but he just doesn't want to start a panic. He wants to play it down. Since when does Donald Trump care about starting a panic? His whole campaign was a campaign of panic and fear. He's the build the wall, ban everybody that don't look like us. He ran on panic and fear. And behind closed doors, he realized just how serious this moment was, but he decided to play it down. Meanwhile, he went out there in front of his people and he called it a hoax. Take a look at this clip.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. They're politicizing it. We did one of the great jobs. You say, how's President Trump doing? They go, oh, not good, not good. They have no clue. They don't have any clue. They can't even count their votes in Iowa. They can't even count. No, they can't. They can't count their votes. One of my people came up to me and said, Mr. President, they tried to beat you on Russia, Russia, Russia. That didn't work out too well. They couldn't do it. They tried the impeachment hoax. That was on a perfect conversation. They tried anything. They tried it over and over. They've been doing it since you got in. It's all turning. They lost. It's all turning. Think of it. Think of it. And this is their new hoax. But, you know, we did something that's been pretty amazing. We're 15 people in this massive country. And because of the fact that we went early, we could have had a lot more than that. We're doing great. Our country is doing so great. We are so unified. We are so unified.
So while guys like Charlie Kirk and MAGA is all mad at Donald Trump because he took credit for the vaccine, we're mad at him too for saying that, but for an entirely different reason. It's because we were awake during the pandemic and we remember what happened. And we remember him standing up there saying it was all just a big hoax and it would all be over by Easter and we should all just drink bleach. We remember how he went out there and turned it into a political argument and sowed distrust in science, sowed distrust in medicine, and had everybody putting their faith in him, a reality show host, a con man, and a grifter, and a sexual abuser. That's what we saw. 1 million people lost their lives, and millions of people around this country are suffering from post-traumatic stress today because of what they went through during the pandemic. All the people that buried their loved ones that are still suffering over that, all the people in the medical field who are still suffering over all that they saw. They were having to use buses for morgues and wiping their nose with coffee filters, okay? And this guy was out here demonizing science every chance he got, demonizing medicine every chance he got. And when Joe Biden got in and got things back on track and started moving us forward and getting us out of the ditch, now he jumps up and says, oh, I want to take credit for it. Can you guys give me credit for it now? Hell no, we can't, because we remember what happened then. That's why when people says both sides are the same, man, no, they're not. If you think both sides are the same, you're clearly not paying attention, because they're mad at a guy because he's saying something that might potentially take voters away, and they might go over and side with a crackpot conspiracy theorist like RFK Jr. And we're over here remembering what happened, and we're never going to let them forget.